Hello, hello.
Hi,
How are you doing?
very good, thank you. And you?
I'm good, I'm good. It's nice to actually meet you after we spoke the other day.
Yeah, well, you talk with my wife, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because she was looking at someone to I could speak with.
Uh,
Because well, my wife is from the States, and the past year when I met his family, her family, sorry,
yeah.
I was a little bit embarrassed, with the fluency that I could speak, and
hmm
I make some mistakes. I know people understand me, but just a little bit
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. Some things can be slightly off. And
Yeah.
it's similar for me. Like I can speak Spanish, but because
Hmm.
I haven't spoke Spanish in such a long time, I quite
Yeah.
often just get stuck and I'm like, what was that word? And then I think too much
he,
about that word and then I forget the whole sentence. And I'm like, oh,
exactly. Uh, and it's kind of terrible, because um, when I was trying to express myself, if it's like normally things, I think that I don't have any kind of problem. But when they are talking like so fast with some specific subjects,
yeah.
it's kind of weird. I lost my mind with that.
You also need to factor in slang, like
Hmm.
words that are not real words that people use.
Hmm.
Where in the States is your wife from?
Colorado.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, pretty I'd say it's a pretty easy to understand American accent. So there's that
Hmm.
advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the point is, they like eat some part of phrases, and um, it's a little bit messy. And when they talk like with, uh, I don't know how to know how to say it. Common language, like "Hey, dude, how's it going?" or
Yeah, yeah.
things like that. It's just sounds
Like
weird to me
like
sometimes.
colloquialisms and
Exactly.
slang. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was the same for me. I did a road trip to Spain
Hmm.
just over a year ago now.
Oh, nice.
Nearly 2 years ago now, actually.
Hmm.
I've lived in Cambodia for a year now.
Well.
But yeah, I did a road trip with my friends from Spain. So one from Madrid
Hmm.
and one from La Isla, uh,
Isla.
like Cadiz. Um, yeah, and like when we went on the road trip, right at the beginning, I was like, "Oh, this will be right," and then I realized how terrible my Spanish had got, where I hadn't been practicing, and I was like, "Wow." So like in the whole
That's
journey,
terrible.
I'm like learning Spanish in the whole journey.
Yeah.
And then by the end of it, I'm like having near full conversations with people in Spanish.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I find my brain has the ability to pick things up quickly, but if I don't
Yeah.
consistently practice it, it just disappears. Um,
Yeah. Exactly. The first time when I was kid, I was learning English at the school, and I thought that I have a very good level because I got trip to Scotland, England. I've been twice in the States before. I knew my wife, and the first time that I talked to her, I was like so proud of myself, and it's like, oh no, don't worry, I could speak perfectly English.
yeah.
And she said years before that, no, honey, you speak like drunk Yoda. So it's like, okay, thank you so much. I have to learn more. I have to get that confidence to to could
Yeah.
express myself without being embarrassed to him, because her family is so kind with me, and I don't have problems with that. But it's just when we met her friends there, I feel like a little bit that
Like
I
uneasy.
really, yeah, and I couldn't participate really in the conversations. It's just a little bit for shame, for a little bit for saying something inappropriate.
Mhm. Yeah, I understand that completely because I've been in the exact same position, the opposite way round.
The opposite way.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah. I mean, in those kinds of situations, normally I would just sit back and watch people talk.
Yeah.
Because then I can see if I can pick out as much as possible, and at least follow the general gist of the conversation. You know, like, because that for me, that's still, you're still internally learning. You're still, because you're practicing your listening skills then. I suppose the most confusing part for me is I went to Lleida, and then went to Madrid, and then I went to Cadiz. So obviously the different accents along the way changes.
That's terrible. Yeah.
But for me, I'm quite lucky because my friends from Spain all live together, and they're all from different areas of Spain.
So
it really helped, like when I got there, to be able to actually understand some of the accents. Like it's at the point now where I'm pretty good at guessing where in Spain somebody's from.
Yeah. Well, the tricky thing there is that people who live here, you know, that we have like so different type of accent and different type of speak. And somebody is like, oh yeah, I'm from Merida, for example, or I'm from Cadiz, and people says, no, I'm from Cordoba. It's like 200 kilometers from there. And they're very, 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 very proud of his accent. It's like, okay, I didn't understand the difference between the both accents. And happened a little bit the same to me because
you sound like you're from the south of Spain. Like,
no, I'm from Madrid.
Yeah, I know, but this like you sound exactly like my friend Habibi, who's from Cadiz. Like even your mannerisms are very similar, so maybe that's why I'm getting confused.
Don't worry, it's just.
But Madrid is very like multicultural, as well as lots of people from Spain come there, so accents kind of mold in big cities.
Actually, I'm from the north of Spain, from the real north, Bilbao.
Oh wow!
But I come to Madrid when I was like 6 months old, with my parents. So and the thing is just well, here in Spain we have like terrible English teachers if they're not native. It's true. For example, I grow thinking that saying my fathers is correct, because here we say that mis padres. And my wife, when we are meeting, says to me that, hey, you have two fathers? It's like, okay, no, why?
Because it wouldn't be plural. I mean,
exactly.
So me and my Spanish friends have discussed this at length on this road trip. And we think, like, with English, to learn the beginning bits is easy, but to perfect it is really difficult, which is the opposite to most languages. Like with Spanish, like from English to Spanish, once you learn how to conjugate verbs, and once you learn like the plurals of things, and you know the three irregular verbs. I mean, there's only two real ones and one semi-irregular verb. Once you know that, you're like, it's easy. Like the language is the same then from that point on. With English, you start to learn the basics, and then when you get to verbs, and you're like, yeah, in English there's over 200 irregular verbs. You're like, why? Why is there 200? There's so many.
Totally agree. For example, I mess a lot the future verbs with the regular verbs. So, for example, I could just be talking with you and say, "Oh, yeah, I went to," when I meant to say, "I go to."
Yeah. Well, I will go. I will go, or I go to. Yeah, I will go.
Yeah, that's one of the most embarrassing things. I mean, people understand. And people is kind and never going to say nothing about that. But it's just I want to talk someone without around my wife's family or friends to get that part that I couldn't really.
And
Because
this is something that my friend said, because at the time I could speak enough Spanish to communicate with him, and with being with my other Spanish friends, if anyone was ever unsure of anything, one of us knew the answer. So it kind of worked well as a group, but only if everybody in the group is willing to correct everybody. But a lot of people don't like to do it because they don't want to seem rude. But I'm like, if somebody says, "Can you correct me?" I'm like, just correct me. Like,
yeah, it's, for example, my wife's. We always try to speak English at home because we have a 2 years old kid, and we want to show him how to be nice in the two languages.
Be bilingual.
Bilingual, yeah. But I was afraid to teach him wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
I can understand that, because especially with kids, they're kind of like a sponge, and they just absorb the information.
Exactly.
So if they absorb it wrong, they might say it wrong. But to be honest, if your wife's American, I can't see that being an issue. Because
I mean, it's
more than likely,
it's like, no, it's more like that. I want to be a good father to him, and it's just I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
I know that he probably is not going to have any kind of problem with that, but it's just that part of me that I want to get it better.
But you've taken the right steps though. Like, you've got the drive and the motivation to learn. That's the hardest bit. I cannot tell you how many times I try to teach people whose parents or job has told them to learn English, and you can tell they don't want to learn, and because of that, they learn really slowly. So with people like you, you're like, I want to learn. I'm going to do this. You will learn very quickly. I'm certain of it.
Yeah. Plus, we have a wedding. One of the uncles of my wife, and they asked me to say a little bit of speech.
Okay.
At the wedding. So I accept. I mean, I want to really prepare myself. It's not only the speech, because I could memorize that. I know. It's just to hang out with people that I didn't know. Your close accent that sometimes people have. Because my family's wife is part from Texas, part from South Carolina, and
so the accents are all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So it's just prepare myself.
I just sent you a link that has some information about all of the tenses. So which ones was it you said? The future tenses, the future continuous. So go through the information about it, read through it. There is a quiz at the end, but wait for it to do that. And then next lesson we can go through the quiz, and if you get less than like 7 out of 10, then I'll be like, okay, then we can go through it again, and I can explain it to you better. And with the speech, you can always prepare it, and I can proofread it and make sure that it's all correct. So that way, when you're practicing it correctly and not incorrectly. I'm sure your wife would teach you anyway.
Well, that's the thing. It's just she didn't know. It's going to be like kind of surprise for her too. So at that point, it's just I feel like a little bit alone. Alone.
Yeah. Well, I'm here to help.
So
you can do this.
Okay. Thank you so much.
No problem.
I'm sorry first, because I have to say like Happy New Year. I don't know where you are.
It is actually. It's 12:15 now, so it's just New Year.
Yeah. Okay.
And Happy New Year to you also when it finally happens. Are you going to be? Are you going to be eating grapes for good luck?
Of course. Yeah, it's a Spanish tradition. Eating grapes with around the family. you know, just
course.
Spanish traditions.
So we're almost out of time. It was lovely to meet you, and I hope to speak to you very soon.
Okay.